I believe we're live. Are we live? Ladies and gentlemen, we might just be live. Hopefully.
Real American Politics. We're your hosts, Tyrone and John. Obviously, Rap is still on his break. We'll be taking care of y'all today. No chaotic introduction like yesterday or the day before. I forgot which one it was. But, same old story, same old stuff. If you like the channel, subscribe, hit the bell. Join the channel today. It's only $1 a month. You can also do a super chat to help Rap out financially while he's putting some stuff together. We'll do our best to try and entertain you guys, and let's get right into it unless you have anything you want to say, John.
Right, yes. So I am actually a little bit... I've been a little rattled. I've taken an hour, but I'm about to get pissed off again because I have been having people in my mentions equivocate Republicans and Democrats in regards to how we have behaved outside of power. They're bringing up, they're trying to cry and moan about January 6th. And it just irritates me so much that the false equivocation that's going on between the two parties. And we really have to talk about the actual state of the Democrat Party, not just that they're bankrupt, they're broke. You'll be seeing a video about that from Luke later, but they're bankrupt, they're broke. They're also morally bankrupt and broke, and they're actively funneling millions upon millions of dollars into terrorist activity on the homeland, on the soil, actively calling people to rebel against it. It's not just the money. It's all of the politicians. They're saying the most horrible things on planet Earth. They're actively advocating violence. No matter what you say, there's calls to violence every single day from Democrats in one form or another. Democrat politicians, not just randos on X or, on online or Reddit. I mean, there's a lot of bad stuff on Reddit. I'm sure you guys saw that. But at the end of the day, it's just really, really grinds my gears. And that's why we're going to talk about it. And what better way to start off than with Tampon Tim's latest debacle? So I don't know if you guys knew at this point, but we actually have a new allegation. I think we have it over here. Yeah. Accused Minnesota assassin wildly claimed in incoherent letter that Governor Tim Walz instructed him to kill Amy Klobuchar. So we're starting off with this in regards to whether or not I think this actually happened. I believe it could happen. It's absolutely in line with everything else Democrats have been doing. If he wasn't going after Amy Klobuchar, I'm sure Tim Walz is going after other stuff. Old heads will remember the Clinton body count, so none of this is new when it comes to taking out political opponents, but good grief, is this a big, hot scandal for Tim Walz? Tyrone, do you think anything good is going to come out of this for good old Tampon Tim? What do you think?
No.
Do you think he's going to be really good when he runs in 2028? He's been doing his little tour, right? He's been going around the whole country for months, like rambling at people, going, "Oh, I love it when the Tesla stock drops. We gotta get rid of ICE. We gotta get rid of this evil King Trump." And he's obviously making money doing that. He's probably making more money than Kamala Harris right now doing book tours. And it was clear he was going to try and run, but
he's doing this so he can gather up a personal stash. Because keep in mind, guys, Tim Walz actually has no wealth of his own. You want to know why he's able to take care of himself? Because he's running off of 4 pensions. He's running off of doing 20 plus years in the armed forces as enlisted. He was a sergeant major. He's running off of military pension. He's running off a public education pension, which the state of Minnesota provides. He's running off the governor's pension, the state representative pension for the state of Minnesota, and he's about to qualify, if not have already qualified for the United States Congress pension. He has 4 different pensions. He doesn't actually have much wealth or assets of his own. If you go look at it, the only thing he owns is his fucking house. He doesn't own land. Like, this ghoul is telling you, yeah, it's okay if you own nothing. You know why? Because he has 4 different fucking pensions, and the government pays for everything for him. So yeah, no, of course he's going around doing book tours and shit like that. He has no actual wealth of his own because the government fucking covers everything for him. Thank you for your service, Tampon Tim, but now you've got no fucking money and now you want to run for president of the United States? That's crazy.
Yeah, it's absolutely insane. And this dude, I mean, just like the rest of the Democrat Party, when you live your entire life being funded by public funding, by it, you stop remembering that it is not actually your money, that it's the people's money. And you just run around, you blow money. That's why, you know, all of these Democrat politicians, you know, blow millions of tons of carbon into the air with their frickin' airplanes, even though they're eco-terrorists. They go around spending millions of dollars. I'm sorry, I know this is totally unrelated. I still can't get over Kamala Harris was too fucking lazy to go to a podcaster's like place, and she had an entire studio built for her in another city, and she's just blowing money out the wazoo. And no, that's not all DNC money. That's not all her fundraised money. That's your money, as we revealed, as Data Republican and others revealed through the NGOs and through USAID. Yeah, your money is being paid for these people to blow it like hell. And how do they get away with it? Well, through smurfing and stuff like that for Act Blue and various other ways of hiding money trails through the NGOs. It's just absolutely disgusting. I have a couple super chats. Glitch TV for 2. It's Tyrone. You know, the stream is going to be wild. We're going to keep talking, and I think the temperature might raise the longer that we talk about this, but we're going to try and keep it so that the YouTube censors don't get upset. American Nerd for 2.
Yeah,
Tyrone
we're actually going to try to have a relatively normal stream this time. Yeah, the other day was just totally chaotic.
The other day was chaotic. And I told you guys I was making excuses for myself, but the main thing was I had hurt myself a lot in the morning. I had actually injured myself and I was feeling really weird after I took the meds to calm it down. American Nerd for 2. Tyrone is a surprise for sure, but a welcomed one. American Nerd for 3. What did Tampon Tim do or say now? Well, the allegation is that he has actively called for a hitman to assassinate Amy Klobuchar in the past, in this like letter that was revealed to the FBI by the guy that just murdered the Speaker of the House in the Minnesota House. Oh my goodness. And by the way, everybody who's saying, oh, well, you guys are horrible people for politicizing something like this. Okay, listen. He came out like not even 12 hours after the event happened and was telling everybody that this was politically motivated, that this was, you know, right-wing terrorism. How horrible. And of course, any of us that were paying attention over the past few days knew that the Democrat Speaker of the House had just went against the party line, which is basically sacrilege in the Democrat Party. If you go against the line, you lose your funding, get kicked out. They might even kick you out of the party altogether. It's complete and total fascism, as they like to try and accuse us of. But that's how it works over there. You toe the party line or you get kicked out, which seems to work for them. But yeah, no, she went against the party line, voted with Republicans to kick illegals off of the healthcare rolls so that we are not funding illegals getting medical care in the country. You're still funding it, by the way, because the United States government bails out the hospitals when people don't pay their bills. So you're still paying for it, just in a different way. And ultimately, if you don't want to pay for the medical care of illegal migrants that, you know, do a run and gun in emergency rooms and hospitals, you just need to kick them out. Just going to be honest there. Inari for 2 dims. JD called Padilla Jose. Me no Juan cares. Yeah, no, it's if you mispronounce his name, who cares? This has always been a stupid thing. They want to make a big deal out of it, make it like racism or something. I don't freaking care. Olivia Williams for 2, more schizophrenia. Thank you for the money though, Olivia. We love you. American Nerd for 2, skeptical to take D word of a nut job seriously, TBH. Yep, thank you for the chats. American Nerd for 3, man, you really pulling in the dough. You really want rap to come back. You guys, you want rap to come back? You put in the dough. You put in the super chats. American Nerd is freaking carrying you. So it's like a take. I don't know. Anyway, no, you don't have to super chat for rap to come back. He'll be here, but actually do. Just feel bad for him and super chat. Anyways, isn't the guy in jail saying this a schizophrenic? It's hard to say that he's a schizophrenic. He probably is, but he's a very wealthy and powerful schizophrenic, and we can talk about that a little bit if we need to. But he's connected. He's the CEO of two separate companies, one domestic in Minnesota, I believe in Minnesota, and one foreign in the Democratic Republic of Congo. And his company in the Democratic Republic of Congo is connected to all sorts of humanitarian crises, scandals. Like, we're not talking about anything, like little kid-sized. No, actual scandals, like being connected to the guards that keep the children inside of the freaking cobalt mines. We're talking about being connected to groups that are ethnically cleansing certain ethnicities in the region. We're talking about all sorts of insane crap. And then you look at the rest of this guy's rap sheet. He's got like high credentials, and he's worked at like half a dozen global companies like Nestle and like other things. So why is this like incredibly high profile individual being appointed to this random board in Minnesota by Tim Walz in 2019, and then a few years later murdering Democrats that don't toe the party line? Does anybody not think that that's mildly insane? And does anybody actually think that this is the party of democracy if all that they are actually being able to do is just murder people that don't vote the way they want them to vote? That doesn't sound like democracy to me. That doesn't sound anything like it. It's something else entirely. I'm just gonna be real there. Tim Walz going down in history. Yeah, I mean, it could be communism, tyranny, anarcho-tyranny. I like that word a lot because it describes what's going on in LA. What has been going
communism?
on. American Nerd for Two. I thought he was a 7-Eleven manager, not a super rich CEO. No, if we're talking about the Minnesota assassin, the one that just assassinated the House Speaker and her husband in Minnesota, that guy has an incredible like portfolio. He looks like someone that just like belongs in a Fortune 500 company, and he has been in one, or a couple actually. He's the CEO of two separate companies. I'm not making any of this up. Let's see. Now we're taking a look here. All right. Just catching up with chat, making sure I'm paying you guys enough attention. Yep. So I wanted to talk about a few details of this because they've been going over. It's been a week, but just to recap some pieces of the story, in no particular order. When we did a search of the vehicle, there was a manifesto that identified many lawmakers and other officials. As you guys know, they absolutely refused to release this guy's manifesto. Tim Walz comes up on TV. He comes up on TV, accuses right-wingers of trying to murder a Democrat House Speaker, and then refuses to release the manifesto. Tim, if you want to accuse your opposition of doing horrible shit, maybe you should come with like just a smidgen of real evidence. Like, oh, we found flyers in his car. We found a list of people, Democrats he was going to kill. Well, as far as I'm concerned, it looks like you guys are willing to kill pretty much anyone that gets in your way. It doesn't matter what side of the aisle that they're on. So I do not feel convinced by that. Release the dadgum manifesto before I rip my hair out. I mean, good freaking grief. American Nerd for Three. I'm starting to see why Kamala picked Walz now. Yeah, she needed some action. She needed some flavor and fire in her ticket. And she was like, well, do we have any people that are friends with, school shooters? Do we have any of those people? Yeah, no, that was the kind of person she was looking for. Mr. J for Five, if he's wealthy, why does he have a Papa John's roommate? Excuse me. Excuse me. What?
Between this and knowing what happened with Shapiro, I wouldn't be surprised if the Democratic Party was actually trying to find someone who did have hands-on experience with this kind of shit, if you know what I mean. Because keep in mind, with Josh Shapiro, as Attorney General in Pennsylvania, covered up the brutal murder of a young Jewish woman.
Oh, yeah, right. No. I forget it entirely, too, but I just remembered, yes, he actively covered that up. There's just so many horrible things. I mean, we found out last year that Kamala Harris, as Attorney General of California, was covering up brutal murders, like I think one or two, probably at least one, in her state because there were complications and there was some dirty laundry associated with it. You guys can look that up. California Attorney General Kamala Harris refused to prosecute. I can pull up the story for you guys at the top of next week if you guys want me to, but I'm having a little bit of a brain shortage right now. Okay. But yeah, so they won't release the manifesto. They have all these really weird paper No Kings flyers that were inside of the vehicle. Let's see. Okay, this is actually a bit of a longer post, but I was taking a look at these photos, you know, the masks that he wore, the pictures of the inside of his car, and some of the other things that he had set up here. This is so insane. But let me go ahead and take a look at this. Breaking news alert, substantial evidence regarding the weapons, vehicle, latex mask, and manifesto of the Minnesota assassin Vance Butler. This man now charged with shooting 2 Minnesota state lawmakers and their spouses in their homes. The other one survived, but unfortunately the House Speaker did not. Also, the other one that he shot, another guy that was famous for having bipartisan legislation and not towing the line. So again, the entire idea that this guy is somehow, you know, a Republican terrorist. And also, if you were a Republican terrorist assassin and you were going to assassinate someone, would you pick any day of the like any day of the year, except for the day that your guy your president's having his birthday? There's a 250th anniversary of the Army. It makes no sense. None of this makes any dadgum sense. It doesn't. Okay. So they're saying that federal prosecutors confirmed 45 Democrats were listed, including dozens of Minnesota lawmakers from Congress, Representative Angie Craig, Ilhan Omar, Senator Tina Smith. It also included members of Planned Parenthood, philanthropist Mackenzie Scott, who has donated hundreds of millions of dollars to the organization and several healthcare centers across the Midwest. Of course, you have to remember who is telling us this: federal prosecutors. The federal courts have been a fucking mess this entire term, this entire administration. They have been trying to rule as kings from their seats, the judges. I'm not surprised if prosecutors also are corrupt in this system. It's just, I don't believe it. I don't believe it. I don't believe any of this bullshit. I really don't. I do not think that we're getting the full story, and I just want it to come out. I want the whole thing to come out. Mike Oxford too. This is what it looks like when Dems are losing. Yes. Note how Republicans, for the past 4 years, been relatively quiet. We had a little bit of a heated gamer moment at the start of Joe Biden, or before Joe Biden was inaugurated, and then about 4 years later, nothing violent, nothing going crazy. They think that havoc and mayhem and chaos caused by them will always cause people to stay with the Democrats, and it's just not true. It's a load of garbage, and they're about to find out. As we saw through the polls, we've seen a bunch of polls coming out. Nobody supports this, and they're very lucky the news stories on the screen had to change, because if we kept talking about Democrats for a month, we would have seen their approval go even further into the tank. We would have seen a bunch of nonsense. American Nerd for 5. This explains why Democrats have been recruiting former members of shady institutions like the CIA as candidates. It's all connected. Well, yes, I do believe that there are strong connections with the establishment. It's not just the Democrats, but establishment Republicans. They are connected heavily with the intelligence agencies. I mean, if you go back to Reagan, it seems apparent that there's been a very tight-knit relationship, actually before that, but it just becomes kind of obvious with Reagan. Five Tests crying in the comments about me pulling up a New York Post article. New York Post are a bunch of hacks, but not hacks in the way that you think they're hacks. They're hacks like for right-wing stuff. They make some ridiculous articles sometimes. I do not like New York Post, but I still use them from time to time. But yeah, no, this entire narrative does not pass my sniff test whatsoever. You let me guys know in the comments. Does this story of like, oh, he was going to go assassinate 45 Democrat lawmakers, and he was targeting people like radicals like Ilhan Omar and senators and all these other people. Does anybody buy that? Do any of you in the comments buy this bullshit? I do not. Yeah. Chance Onidrix for 5, doing a good job of the streams, John. Also, don't listen to the so-called MAGA influencers. They're panicans and will have egg on their face in the end. I definitely feel like that, Chance. And this stream's about Democrats but I am trusting the plan. I'm trusting my president, Donald Trump. If you guys want to check out my video, I posted it a little bit too late last night, but if you can check it out, I talk about how Donald Trump really is our guy, our only guy. He's improving the lives of middle-class workers. It really is, like, at the heart of it, I'm very happy with almost everything Donald Trump has done this term. And so I'm going to trust him on this issue that we're dealing with now going into the next couple of weeks. Robert Krause calling out, hey, John. Hey, Robert. Let me go ahead and keep going. Nope, that's LA Riot. Oh, yeah, we were going to talk about the connections to some of these things. Oh, yeah, there's this meme. Breaking. Minnesota has released the Assassin's Manifesto. It's a giant fucking black screen. Yeah, no. So that's my call. You want to know what I'm calling for? What I think everybody should be calling for? Release the fucking manifesto, okay? Release the fucking manifesto, you cowards. You fucking cowards. You know why they won't release the manifesto? Because it will show that Tim Walz's ass is on fire. It is on fire. And he deserves to be recalled. He deserves to be in jail. He deserves a lot of things. It's probably for being a CCP plant. But at the end of the day, he deserves nothing but iron bars, 3 walls, maybe like a little, fun roommate, maybe something like that. Yeah, no. Okay, this is back from a few days ago. Minnesota officials refuse to release the assassin Vance Butler's manifesto. Here's the justification. There's not enough there. So they have to censor the entirety of the manifesto and not let anybody look at it because there's, quote, not enough evidence. Yeah, okay. Well, I have a couple more things to go through, but I have to stop real quick and make a very quick phone call. Are you able to ramble for a little bit, Tyrone? I have to go. I'm going for like 30 seconds to a minute. Can you do a ramble real quick? Thanks.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I mean, like you said, hold on. Got my microphone. Yeah, there we go. All right. Is this better? It should be good. Yeah. I mean, it's more or less what I said. The Democrats are fucking hilariously corrupt. At this point, they're fucking just. I'm not gonna forget this shit with Tim Walz and the news. Like, I personally don't think. Oh, we actually have what do you call it? We have a super chat. American Nerd 1776 for 5. Can a Minnesota governor get recalled because some states don't do the recall thing even though they really should do it? I don't know. Actually, that's a really good question. Let me put my microphone mount. Let me mount my microphone. Let's see. Can Minnesota governors be recalled? Oh, Minnesota also. Okay, yeah, no, Minnesota governors can be recalled. Damn, actually, that's really interesting. We should start a recall Walz campaign. That would be very, very interesting to see. I'm pretty sure he's at his term limit, so it might not be all of that useful of an exploit to go through. Because he's going to be gone by next year, but still, okay. I didn't know that Minnesota governors could be recalled. All right, yeah. Tim Walz will have to flee to Ontario. Yeah, no, we're going to send him back. Focus on Michigan and Georgia state seats. Or Senate seats. I'm not so sure we should focus on the Georgia Senate seat. Michigan, potentially. I am a bit bearish on Georgia. Hey, John, welcome back.
Yep. I was getting some stuff organized for actually lunch. I'm going to have a very pleasant lunch. But yeah,
I have
no.
not had any food. I'll probably just DoorDash like Burger King or something.
Oh, as long as you can get something good. I don't know. I don't trust Burger King anymore, dude. I haven't had Burger King in forever, dude. But I guess that might just be the people local here. They hire a bunch of contract workers from 1,000 miles away, either that or the Caribbean, and they all suck. And then that's why like 2 out of the 3 Burger Kings in my area have gone out of business. They all suck. So I don't know, but let's see here. But yeah, no, I think that they're gonna try and navigate this by just burying their heads in the sand. This latest threat, And I don't think we should let them bury it. I think that we should scream from the rooftops to release that manifesto. If there's nothing on it, if it's so little information that it doesn't matter, then just give it to us. Give it to us. And I really don't think that anything else is going to be okay. So this is part of the LA riots. So we'll go ahead back to LA riots. And the reason I'm talking about the LA riots, how does it all connect to this? We have been seeing over and over and over again throughout these past several months, Democrats either sponsoring violence with money, encouraging violence with their words, or actively driving people insane so that they go and do stuff like assassinate the United Healthcare CEO, kill him in cold blood in the freaking streets. Or they go through, and there's actually another guy I can pull up real quick. It's just a small thing. Edward Bartkus blew up a fertility clinic in California on the 17th of May to, quote, sterilize the earth from disease commonly known as life. We talked about this guy a little bit in May, but is it not insane that we have two separate, actually, I guess 3 separate Democrat assassins in the course of 6 months? Or so at this pace, we would have 6 by the end of the year. Like how take a bet. How many Democrat assassins do you think we will see before the end of the year, Tyrone?
I have no idea, and I'm not particularly comfortable giving an estimate for reasons I shouldn't have to state, because everyone should know by now.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I understand your obligations, but it's completely ridiculous that we have to live in a world like this. And not that we just have to live in a world like this, but that it gets equated to what Republicans are doing? No, absolutely not. This is complete nonsense. And that we've gone very far past any concept of democracy. Like there's no concept of what we're supposed to be doing here. This is not normal elections. This is not normal times. The Democrat Party must repent of this crap in some way, or else they don't deserve to be a party anymore. They deserve to be labeled as a terrorist organization. That is my strong opinion.
If a recall petition was successful against Walz, how much should we focus on it? Because that could be like a 2021 California recall that screwed us up in New Jersey. I don't know. That's a good question.
That's fair. Not recalling Tim Walz simply to like beat him with a better candidate. But again, American Nerd, you're kind of missing out on the morality aspect of it. That's like the dimension that I'm talking about. Maybe we would have better electoral prospects, but do you want a guy that hires hitmen that does stuff like the Clinton body count? Do you want him in charge of any of the states of the United States for any period of time? Someone that I understand. I'm not naive. I understand this goes on in a lot of places, but if we get more and more evidence and it becomes clearer that Tim Walz has been actively calling for the cold-blooded murder of his fellow lawmakers and executives, what on earth are we doing? Cherokee Bear for 2. Walz is 2 years younger than Tom Cruise. I appreciate your fun fact, Cherokee Bear. Thank you for the donation. Rap definitely appreciates it. Sovian for 27 SEK. I don't remember that currency. Every revolution has been aristocrat-led. Every one. Well, as for the counter-revolution we're participating in, that's definitely true. We do have counter-aristocrats. If you're talking
Swedish,
about...
by the way.
What? Oh, it's Swedish. SEK Swedish.
Yeah, it's Swedish.
Okay. But Sovian, as for these guys, yeah, it's definitely aristocrat-led. I understand that that's how it goes throughout history, but again, you're agreeing with my point. The point is that this has nothing to do with the regular electoral process. We are so far gone from normal electoral politics. We are in crazy land, and the only people making it crazy land are the Democrats. If they all calmed the hell down, we would be having normal every day-to-day life. They just have to blow everything up, because if there's no chaos, then they feel as though they can't win next time. That's all it is. All of this suffering, all of this pain, all of this anxiety, all of this fear that they have inspired in normal people going about their normal fucking lives, it's all because They want power. How fucked up is that? Like, I can't stand that. I can't stand that all of these people in California, wherever else, that are normal taxpayers that go about their day, they have to feel fear of their store being looted or their house being ransacked or whatever the hell else, or their Tesla being put on fire, which we're going to talk about in a minute, just because I want to keep talking about the money. I want to talk about the money. We need everybody to keep pointing out to normies and to everybody else that you see on your day-to-day trip, this is being funded by the same people pretending it's not happening. American Nerd for 2. Fair take. I'm still skeptical about that, though. Chance Ondrzik 5. Dave Hale says, I don't care how, we need to make this the GOP again with a pick of Jeb Bush and Mitt Romney. Is he calling for rigging primaries for neocons? Probably. If you guys recall, Jeb Bush had immense amounts of funding from ABC News. You know, the same ABC News last cycle that did basically turned a debate into a hit and run, tried a propaganda piece for Kamala Harris. That David Sewer and that insufferable woman that was next to him, that news network paid like
That
what was it?
insufferable woman.
That insufferable woman. She doesn't deserve anything. She doesn't deserve a job. She deserves nothing in life. She deserves to rot in her little apartment loft. And hopefully one day we'll find out she's illegal and we can deport her too. No, but no, Jeb Bush and Mitt Romney. Jeb Bush got somewhere between $30 million and $100 million from ABC News in the 2016 electoral cycle. And he barely got anything. Oh, Rand Paul got less, but Jeb Bush barely got any delegates at all in that cycle. And Mitt Romney, what I will say is that Mitt Romney betrayed himself and betrayed the party and betrayed anybody that could possibly ever advocate for him with that last month of his election where he just disappeared off the face of the planet. And of course, we've seen throughout the preceding 13 years of politics, he's a complete fraud. He's a complete hack. He tried to pretend to get along with Donald Trump at the start of his term when we had that hilarious picture. Do you guys remember that hilarious picture of them in the dining room together? And it's like Mitt Romney and Donald Trump's making an evil
smiling
smile.
nervously, and Trump's got that evil ass. Yeah, and like if you increase the saturation and lower the brightness, he literally looks like he could be out of like a fucking like a horror game.
Mike, Nintendo Master asking, what did he miss? Listen, man, we're just talking about Tim Walz, the complete fraud. We just got through talking about how he is potentially, allegedly, according to the Minnesota Assassin, calling for the cold-blooded murder of Senator Amy Klobuchar. It was like for the sake of an election or something else. He was trying to take out a competitor. So this is a little bit older, but he was saying he was being hired by Tim Walz to do that, to take out Amy Klobuchar. Of course, the Democrats are playing it off as an incoherent, schizophrenic ramble. At the same time, Democrats refuse to release his manifesto and actually show us what he said on it, even though it's not much. It's like there's just not enough here to really care. Unironically, that's the take. The take is, yeah, he's just being a schizophrenic. We can't show you what he actually wrote down, though, because it's just nothing. There's nothing here. So yeah, complete and utter bullcrap. We're gonna keep talking. We're gonna talk about funding of Democrat terrorism. That's what the stream's about. The stream is about the party of terrorism. Last year, we had incredible violence happen when we had two assassins attempt to take out our president, and both of them, for one reason or another, were completely either gaslit or inspired to commit this act of terror, this murder that they were trying to attempt by Democrat rhetoric, inflammatory Democrat rhetoric, and lies spread every single day about the president and about what we do. So no, this is not the same thing. This is not the same thing as whatever the hell the Republicans are up to. We talk about the corruption of the Republicans all the time. I have crapped on Rand Paul, Thomas Massie, Ted Cruz. We can talk about the establishment GOP, Mitch McConnell, which I usually call Bitch McConnell. Like we have a lot of complaints about our party. none of what they're doing, as evil and corrupt as it may be, equates to the Democrats terrorizing their own citizens, putting law enforcement in harm's way, actively terrorizing law enforcement and encouraging it with both money and rhetoric. No, there is nothing like this. There is nothing like this on the Republican side. There's obviously things that I take issue with the military industrial complex and their money going into the Republican Party. But this is on a completely different level. Doing it to your own people, What the actual fuck? I'm sorry, but it's just, ugh. So going forward, we were talking about the LA riots. Of course, you guys saw these horrible images that came out. These images that completely radicalized a large portion, millions of people radicalized overnight by these terrific images, terrifying images. That was the word I was looking for. Terrifying images of Mexican nationalist flags flying as these punks in LA resist law enforcement. It was so we all know whoever's funding this also funded the BLM riots and the pro-Hamas takeover. If we don't stop these people, we won't have a country left. It is that simple. The revolution that is being held against our president, Donald J. Trump, by these completely psychopathic assholes, it has to be put to an end. I agree. So the first story I have about LA that came out June 8th, evidence suggests LA riots over ICE raids could be government funded. So I'm going to go ahead and go through this. I'm going to talk about Data Republicans thread. I don't think we actually took a dive down into it. And I like the way this article is organized by Gateway Pundit. So we're going to go ahead and go through that. Let's see. American Nerd for 3. Dems are the Jacobins. Trump is Napoleon. He did post a Napoleon quote. He posted a Napoleon quote. Very based. Very based. Is anybody going to argue against the very base Napoleon quote? Let's see here. Mike Oxford for 2. We will never go back to Jeb, aka Mr. Please Clap. Well, we don't have to go back to Jeb Bush because Trump repudiated Jeb Bush's entire identity. Jeb Bush with his Hispanic, short wife, his short fat wife. I'm sorry, she was a little bit round. Jeb Bush's Hispanic wife and him coming up and announcing his presidential campaign in Spanish did not attract Hispanic voters. It was cringe. Nobody cared. And patriotic Mexicans would never vote for someone who doesn't have the balls to speak in their own language. Because I'm going to be honest, I think Mexicans respect people who respect themselves. That's actually how most of the world works. People respect people who respect themselves. That's why America was turned into a laughingstock by Joe Biden over the past 4 years, because this country does not respect itself if it elects, quote unquote, someone like Joe Biden. I'm just going to be honest. And that's why that's how they all looked at us. There was actually Putin spoke about this before.
No more electing Irishmen.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, hey, poster tubs. I've been having a bit of a heated gamer moment. I'm just really upset about everything, but I'm going to go over this news story real quick.
Going on for like 2 hours.
No. I think that we're going to make this a relatively tight, compact stream. We've been going about, I think, 40 minutes now. We're going to keep going at least an hour, maybe an hour and a half, not 2 hours. But yeah,
okay,
no.
No, I was just hoping the stream wasn't going on for too long because I actually had like a call and I couldn't attend. But I remembered. I did not forget.
Alrighty, man. That's awesome. We got poster tubs here, everybody. Do you have, before I go into this stuff about the LA riots, because I'm talking about Democrat terrorist money, the stream's about Democrat terrorism, sponsored by their millions of dollars, sponsored by their inflammatory rhetoric by Congress people. Do you have any thoughts in general about Tim Walz potentially calling for a hitman to take out Amy Klobuchar? That was the main story. Have any thoughts about that?
I think that guy's a schizo, but I mean, I don't think that's actually what happened. I think he's just a schizo, but yeah, it is kind of worrying, especially given his past gaffes on school shooters. It's kind of worrying. Although I don't think that actually happened. I think the guy's just a schizo.
Well, at the end of the day, whether you believe him or not, if you believe he's a schizo, he is still was appointed to a board by Tim Walz in 2019, which does, in one way or another, make him Tim Walz's friend. So he's a shooter, he's Tim Walz's friend, and he's schizophrenic. Very interesting company that this man keeps. I wonder what chip the Chinese put in his brain to make him behave like that.
Tim
Oh
Walz is
gosh.
fucking weird. Like, he's a very, very weird individual. He's very strange. I mean, people compared him to like Tim Kaine, but Tim Kaine is actually just kind of generic, and he's kind of like a blank slate. You know, Tim Kaine, you just wouldn't, you know, it's kind of very generic. Like, Tim Walz is a strange, odd person. Something's wrong with him. There's something, I think in the next 5 years we're gonna have like a leak on Tim Walz that makes like the John Edwards leak look like child's play, to say the least.
So Robert Hill asks a good question for $2. If this doesn't change, how bad will 2028 be? I am looking everywhere over and over again for mildly sane Democrats to show us the off-ramp, to show us the exit from pure domestic terrorism into something mildly resembling an acceptable political party. I have been looking for it. I haven't found it. They have been completely shouting down moderate voices and apparently murdering moderate voices in cold blood. I have no idea where the off-ramp is. And if they don't find one in the next year or two, in politics, very, fast game, so things can change quickly. But if nothing changes in the next year or two and we get into 2027, it's just like this. I think it's going to be a blowout. I think it's going to be an absolute blowout. Now, something's going to happen. Something's going to happen. Something's going to change. But I could see Vance just having completely breaking the precedent of the past 40 years of electoral politics, getting closer to, popular Reagan numbers, maybe getting, how about, I think modestly, if nothing changes, Obama term 1 is like my floor for JD Vance, which is like, Vance plus 8 across the country. And that is if Democrats never find a leader, Democrats never clean up their act, and Democrats never stop engaging in domestic terrorism. Also, if they never figure out their money problem, because they're broke. They're broke. But we're not talking about that because Luke's doing a video on it later.
This is the weakest the Democratic Party has been in a very long time, like weaker than 88. Like, I would say, like, as a party, they're weaker than they were in the 80s. Because in the 80s, like Reagan, the thing with the 1980 and 1984 elections is like, Democrats were unpopular, but like that was just Reagan, kind of carrying the party. Whereas this time, I mean, Trump's kind of carrying the party too. We saw that last year, but also the Democratic Party is just like not in a good state right now. I think they're gonna lose 2028, probably 2032. If they want to win in 2032 or 2036 or even 2028, they're going to have to completely change as a party.
Yes. They will have to completely change. Let me tell you something. Gavin Newsom trying to debate our boy, Vice President J.D. Vance. He shouldn't. J.D. Vance should not accept this debate offer. He does not deserve the time of day. But if he accepts it, I will watch it and savor every waking second of humiliation that Gavin Newsom has to go through, because I believe in my boy, J.D. I think he would absolutely crush Gavin Newsom in a debate. He's just way too smart. Gavin Newsom is a slick snake. I am not saying that Gavin Newsom is stupid, but with the way he handled himself in the LA riots, he showed himself that in the spontaneous heat of the moment, he handles himself very poorly. In an almost ecstasy asking to be arrested during all of this. Oh my goodness, no. No, Gavin Newsom cannot handle himself in contemporaneous moments. He cannot handle himself going second by second. So if they do a live debate in front of an audience, first of all, don't do it in California, JD. He does not deserve it. Look, I know that you can do it in front of an adversarial audience, but he doesn't deserve it. Make him come to your home territory. Do a debate in Ohio. Do a debate in a red state. Get him in front of real people, not Democrat plants, and show the world what a fucking buffoon he is.
The thing is that Newsom is not popular in California. Like, I know, he wins. Like, he won in 2018 because nobody knew who he was. So, like, 23. Only reason why he won by so much in 2021 is because Larry Elder, God bless him, I love him, but he's not like he's a very bad fit for a state like California for obvious reasons. And in 2022, like, he underperformed by like a lot against a no-name state senator who didn't even have like a website. Like, Brian Daly didn't even have a campaign website or anything. He was like he had no money, and he like underperformed like by a lot. So it's not like Californians like really like him. It's just that they don't like the Republicans.
Right, but you know that if they do a debate over there, it actually to support your point, I think now the latest poll I saw was like it's closer to 50-50, almost 50% of the state of California, according to one or two polls, is saying Gavin Newsom, like they would recall Gavin Newsom if given the chance to.
No, we got a slurry of super chats. Cake up for 5. Want a real horror? Oh my goodness gracious! So many super chats. Thank y'all. Cake up for 5. Want a real horror story? Imagine if Trump never seriously ran for office. These people would be in charge because the GOP is incompetent and true. American Nerd for 2. Newsom could win a debate against DeSantis. Cherokee Bear for 2. I'm not Italian, but my hairline is.
Yeah.
Real. Son for 27. DNC primary sponsored by corpos would be hilarious. That's the thing, though. They already are.
Okay. We have 2 more super chats up there that I was about to get to, but I just kept rambling. I apologize. Tim Walz from Chance Ondrzejczyk for 5. Tim Walz running for president would be the ultimate resist lib boomer fantasy come to life. He embodies all the bad qualities of that demographic. Yeah. I keep going back in my head to the taco incident where he was like, he won like a taco contest or whatever. And he was commenting about it, and he told the cameras that he said, you know, I'm like that dumb white person. I don't know how to season my food, but everybody liked my tacos, so I guess I'm okay. Like, no.
Show. It's a fucking minstrel show. That's what Tim Walz was.
when Tim Walz is a fucking minstrel. Tim Walz is the first white DEI hire. He's a fucking minstrel show. American Nerd for 5. I thought Walz never went to China. Remember that debate moment? That dude can never get his story straight. No, not only did Walz go to China, it was revealed like a month or 2 before the elections. He was having not an affair, but he was having relations with one of their officers' daughters. Like a CCP official officer's daughter was having relations with him.
Scrum took with the wildfires.
What about the wildfires?
I said, remember the weird pick he took with the wildfires?
Yeah, American Nerd for 3. Remember the weird pick Newsom took with the wildfire? Yeah, this guy does not understand optics, and I think it's just because he tries his best to stay on the uptake, but he is surrounded by people who do not understand 90% of the country. They only understand themselves and the people that they've thrown into homeless encampments across the state. Yeah, no. Tim Walz is a white minstrel show. Walz is wearing whiteface. Yes, exactly. Absolute buffoon. Anyways, back to Gateway Pundit. Evidence suggests LA riots over ICE raids could be government funded. What began as a so-called spontaneous protest against ICE enforcement operations in LA has now been exposed to something far more insidious, a well-funded, coordinated riot with ties to radical left-wing organizations, government-backed, non-governmental organizations, and even a billionaire known for pushing Chinese communist propaganda. According to a damning expose by investigative account Data Republican, love my oomphy, Data Republican, go follow her. Several nonprofit organizations. Several nonprofit organizations and shadowy political fronts played a pivotal role in igniting the chaos that saw federal officers attacked, flags burned, city streets blocked. But what's more alarming, tens of millions of dollars in taxpayer money may have indirectly fueled the unrest. Who's behind the anti-ICE riots in LA? So this was a breakdown that she did on June 7th. At the center of the funding web is CHIRLA. I'm going to pronounce it wrong, but that's how I'm going to say it. CHIRLA, the Coalition for Humane Immigration Rights. Maybe it's CHIRLA. I'm going to go with CHIRLA. Documents reveal the group saw a shocking jump from 12 million to 34 million in government grants in just 1 year. While most of that is believed to come from the state of California, the group received federal funding as well. So she pulled up the EIN number, which is inside the system. Most of the private funding appears to be from DAFs, which are the hardest to trace. 34 million of its reported $45 million in revenue are from government grants. So this is not something just funded by, George Soros, or, it's funded by blah, blah, blah. Those people are evil, but your money is going to this. You are paying for the destruction of your own country. I don't understand how anybody, why are we not rioting in the streets? I don't understand. I'm not calling for riots, but why are we not mobilizing after all of this?
You have to immediately clarify that.
Well, no, I want to be clear. I am not advocating for violence, but when I think about it in my head, like, is this not the kind of thing that makes you rage, that makes you go out and you want to do something about it immediately? And you know, you could have all sorts of thoughts. I have all sorts of horrible thoughts after doing this. I'm not going to act on any of them, but at the same time, like, do you not relate? Do you not relate? Does this not drive you insane? Okay, James all day for 5. Did you hear Jack Ciattarelli got endorsed by a big labor union for the governor of New Jersey, the same labor union who endorsed Murphy in 21? I could have sworn we covered that earlier this week, but yes, James, that is absolutely fantastic. Thank you for the super chat. Excited for that race in New Jersey. I'm excited to see New Jersey go red. Let's see here.
I think Ciattarelli can actually win. I think he can win. People are gonna say I'm crazy. I think it's possible. I don't think it's a guarantee, but he's way more likely to win than Sears at this point.
I keep going back to the simple logic. Look, in 21, he was 3 points behind. Nothing's happened. He's had no major scandals, but the country as a whole has moved 4 or 5 points right since then. So the question is, does Ciattarelli, does he move with the national average over? Because if he does, then it's like a tilt-our race. If that's and again, that's a broad metric. I understand. There's a lot of other, more like nitty-gritty things you want to look at. But just when I'm looking at the big picture, I see that country's moved right 5 points. Ciattarelli's here. He was 3 points behind 5 years ago. It seems like a tilt-our race to me. Anyways, according to Data Republican, photos from the scenes of the riot show Churla linked materials and professionally printed signs that trace back to the Party for Socialism and Liberation, PSL, a communist group operating in the United States, a communist group with no transparency and no registered nonprofit status. Quote, our community is under attack and has been terrorized. Angelica Salas, executive director of the Coalition for Humane Human Rights, or Churla, told the crowd of protesters, these are workers, these are fathers, these are mothers. So again, perfect, like actual projection, by the way, because you are being attacked and terrorized, i.e. law enforcement is doing its job and removing people who don't have a right to be in your country. That, oh, now that's an attack, so you have the right to attack them back. That is the implicit call to violence that is happening right here.
Are you seeing that as the Democrats are running there? It's so ridiculous. It's like something like that the like online right would make ironically, but yes. No, it's an actual Democrat ad. There was this ad where this white guy is dating his Latina girlfriend, and then this like Republican congressman shows up and like says, "Oh, she's getting deported," and it's like, "Oh, she looks like an illegal." It's like so funny, but it's such terrible messaging. My Latinx girlfriend, no. Man, I'm so glad I don't have a Latinx girlfriend. I have a half French, half Japanese one. No, and she's not getting deported. But no, that was absolutely crazy. Holy crap. They just have no messaging. And the thing about that ad that you've brought up is that the Republican congressman like sniffs the Latinx girlfriend, and you look at him, and other than the nose being a little bit too big, he is a very close image of Joe Biden. He's a close image of Joe Biden, like with the sniffing, with the hair, with him, being like an elderly white man. Like, that's all I see. When I see him, I see Joe Biden. And I think to myself, does everybody else not just see Joe Biden here too? Like, even the Democrats who agree with the ad, do they not kind of like have flashbacks to Joe Biden sniffing girls or having weird interactions with other people's little girls? That's where I go to. John, like the Hoppas. I do. I'm a W for the Hoppas. Yeah, let's get some W's for Hoppas. Hoppa girlfriends in the chat. W's. I need W's right now. Validate my race mixing. Okay. Jesus. God, I just say that I don't care about it. I just think that was really funny. I just like I don't care what race your girlfriend is, but to me it's just really funny when people like point that out. It's funny when people on Twitter spark out about this shit because they're not dating white women. You just know like online Nazi. A lot of them aren't. Yeah. American Nerd Hapa is just someone that's like half Japanese, and like sometimes people use it to refer to like half East Asian women.
But yeah, no, I like it. She's got a wonderful also her mom is just like the best human being I've met in my life.
Is her mom Japanese?
Yeah, her mom's Jap, her dad's French.
Is she a patriot? Does she support Trump? That's what really matters.
No, she's beyond a patriot. Like, if I'm going to be honest, she radicalized me more than I was before I met her. I'm going to be honest. No, she's really awesome. And she also loves history. She like when she was living in France, like she would be shown these videos of like French documentaries of George Washington and the Revolutionary War, and they like make George Washington, the actor playing George Washington, is this like incredibly handsome man that she. So the French have like this incredibly romanticized vision of like documentary of George Washington and the Revolutionary War, and it made her obsessed with American history and everything. It's actually really funny. Patriots.
I think
France.
the French hating is like kind of Reddit. I mean, France right now is a mess, but it's not because of like the French, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
You know.
Okay. Anyways, let's talk about this piece of shit. The socialist. Behind the curtains is Neville Singham, a socialist billionaire, also known as financier of Chinese propaganda efforts abroad. Singham has funneled over $20 million into radical groups, including those involved in recent campus takeovers at Columbia University. So the same people that also, by the way, another incident of Democrat terrorism just on universities, terrorizing a minority population on the campus, which happens to be Jewish people, but they're being terrorized and discriminated against, and it's unfair to them. Not being allowed to go to your class, not feeling safe, feeling like you're going to have yourself punched out if you go. Like whatever kind of harm that they're going to like threaten to inflict upon a minority inside of the campus. Does anybody think that that's okay? It doesn't matter if it's a majority or minority. It's just not okay in general. But yeah, no. According to Data Republican, Singham is linked to PSL, the Answer Coalition, and the People's Forum, all of which played a part in the LA riot. So he is stewed deep into this money pit of socialist communists, all of these people that are allowed to roam free in California because they're freaking insane. Let's see. It is tough to find backings on either group as they do not have a nonprofit associated with them. Both claim to be funded entirely by members. Cow doo-doo, the cow emoji, poop emoji. However, I find a New York Post article claiming that both are funded by billionaire socialist Neville Singham, a real nice guy, activist who became a billionaire by pushing Chinese propaganda worldwide. Marjorie Taylor Greene, is this war on ICE in America being funded by Neville Singham? Was BLM riots funded by China? Is Antifa Communist funded by China? Are the cartels linked? This is an actual war being waged against our country. And as much as like, you know, we have very delicate moments with MTG where we're very much thinking she's gone off the rockers. This is a good take by her. I will say that this one was a good take. Even the SEIU CA, California Service Employees International Union president, was reportedly arrested during the protests. Meanwhile, groups like the Million Voters Project were caught amplifying the demonstrations online. MVP, while privately funded, is closely tied to the broader democracy agenda of the progressive left. So yeah, if you're looking at all of this, if you're putting together the dots, all of these organizations are working in tandem to make your streets less safe, to actively promote chaos and mayhem. There is something incredibly wrong with this. And of course, democracy is being used to defend all of this. Democracy. And as we said earlier, none of this, we've so far gone beyond democracy at this point. I agree with some of the people you'll see online that argue, hey, if this is democracy, then we've changed definitions of democracy. It's not our democracy, it's their democracy, and democracy equals bureaucracy. I think that's like the thing, the boomerism from Elon. I agree. There's nothing there. MTG took her meds. Yeah, Lewis. It seems like MTG took her meds. MTG had a lot of good takes, lady. Did she take her normal pills? Yeah, whatever they put her on. We need to get it to a couple more female Republican congressmen. Get Nancy Mace some of those drugs MTG is taking. I'm going to be real.
Nancy Mace is crazier than MTG. It is really funny. This has been memory hold, but when Nancy Mace first came into Congress, she was kind of like a moderate, very moderate Republican, especially on social issues. And she was like super pro-gay and anti-Trump. And I remember those, and all the moderate Republicans loved her. And now she's a lunatic.
Yeah,
I mean, she's always been crazy, but she's now more openly crazy.
She has been completely ridiculous. I haven't liked any of her posts recently. I'm not following her, but every single time I see it, I just kind of groan. I don't know what the crap's going on with her. But oh yeah, Aaron was saying in chat, John Rose is sounding like rep here, democracy. Well, I got that verbal tick because I watch a guy called Mentis Wave. He's another channel on here. I know that we've spent a long time on this channel crapping all over libertarians, and they deserve it in this year. This year, libertarian, especially last year with Chase Oliver being their candidate, but this year with what they've been up to, conspiring with the Democrats to try and destroy the agenda. No, we do not like libertarians right now. Mentis Wave, though, very nice libertarian channel. He makes a lot of really great videos. He's like my favorite guy, and he's pragmatic. He's willing to work with Republicans. He's willing to work with MAGA. He doesn't like tariffs. He doesn't like any of this other stuff, but he makes really good videos. You should check him out. And I get that. Sometimes he tries to get past YouTube sinners by saying fascism and democracy and all that stuff. General Hydra for 5. I hear John Fetterman call out of the Democrat leaders and far lefties about all this going on this past week. Fetterman has condemned the LA riots, and he has basically condemned his own party for refusing to condemn them. And I heard on Rich Barris's program, I don't know how many of you watch him. I watch him from time to time. I can't take him all the time, but you know, he gets very whiny sometimes. You know, it's like,
I've criticized and fought with Barris in the past, but when he's right, he's right.
When he's right, it feels so good. It feels so good to listen to him ramble when he's right about something. But yeah, he was telling a guest that Fetterman would have already left the Democrat Party if we had elected a different Senate leader. If John Thune was not in charge of the Senate and we had somebody closer to the MAGA coalition in charge of the Senate right now, he would be a Republican. We would have 54 senators in the Senate.
The only problem is that like soon, like, I mean, I don't see any other realistic alternative. Like, I mean, like Cornyn would be way worse. Rick Scott, I don't think Fetterman would like at all. Like, nobody likes Rick Scott. Like,
I think Fetterman might have tolerated Rick Scott. There's things, and of course, like when I started talking about Rick Scott and I was telling him, guys, Rick Scott's the MAGA senator. It wasn't just because of all the rumors from people spreading around. It's because I knew what Rick Scott was up to. I listened to Rick Scott through the entire campaign last year. He's bad on a couple of issues, but you don't get somebody perfect to show up to do the Senate leadership. You get someone that gets along with everyone. And unfortunately, he was fully behind a lot of the Republican MAGA senators. He just hadn't captured the hearts and minds of those people in the middle, those people they're kind of in between establishment and MAGA, and they just kind of side with whoever they think's going to win on a particular day. He didn't capture that crowd. I think Fetterman might have put up with him. Let me see here. Should have been Senate Leader Hovde, but Milwaukee at 3 a.m. said no. Yeah, very strange, K-Cub. Very strange incident there. More from Data Republican on Los Angeles Mayor Karen Bass. Most people know her as mayor of Los Angeles. Some remember her botched handling of this year's wildfire crisis, but there's a lot more beneath the surface. Karen Bass served as vice chair.
I'm just saying, Karen Bass's handling of the wildfires killed David Lynch. So I fucking hate her for that alone.
Were you affected by that?
No, you know the director, David Lynch, like film director?
David, yeah. Yeah, okay,
yeah,
I know what you mean.
Because of the wildfires, like, complicated his health issues. And I basically think Karen Bass killed him accidentally, manslaughter. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I for that,
that is absolutely ridiculous. Oh, real quick, super chat. Chance Ondrzik for 5. Rand Paul has been cringe lately, but his statement about McCain back in 2017 was quote, he makes a strong case for term limits, unquote. Well, right. So one of the crossovers we have with the libertarians is not necessarily wanting to waste hundreds of billions of dollars overseas and possibly, shedding American blood for things that don't necessarily directly benefit American citizens. That's not pacifism. It's not isolationism. Like I say in the video I posted late last night, it's more so choosing your battles. I think MAGA is a lot about choosing your battles. And right now, MAGA is saying, we don't really want to be in this fight. We want Israel to take care of it. But in regards to other stuff, we might want to intervene in other conflicts across the world if it is directly impacting our economics, our safety, our other things. But yeah, anyways, Ben Cynics for 5. It sucks Tuberville's going to run for governor instead off re-election. He's been an A-tier senator that doesn't get much attention. Well, that was the whole thing. So over the past couple days, I've been avoiding talking about it. But with the land bill and everybody, 90% of my timeline, 99% of my timeline, absolutely hates Mike Lee's land bill. And one thing that they were saying was they were bringing up, hey, why don't we ban China from owning land in the United States? And it's not real estate, but Tommy Tuberville had put forth a bill in 2023 and has reintroduced it in 2025 to do exactly that, to go ahead and ban China from being able to access farmland. Also, by the way, in Mike Lee's home state of Utah, China already can't own lands because there's actually a bill against that. It's the foreign enemies, adversaries can't handle land. So that includes Iran, North Korea, Russia, China. Like those 4 countries can't own land in Utah. But why don't we promote Tuberville's bill? Why don't we shield Tuberville's bill keeping China off of agricultural lands? That's the coolest thing ever. I really hope it gets passed before he takes his exit. But I am so excited about him being governor of Alabama. You have no idea. I'm literally moving back to Alabama to be with Governor Tuberville. He's going to take us into the space age. You have no idea. And Rand Paul said, I stand by my statement. So true, Rand Paul. Let's see. Anyways, Karen Bass served as the vice chair of the National Endowment for Democracy, NED, a U.S. government-funded NGO notorious for meddling in foreign governments under the banner of, quote, promoting democracy. So regime change, pushing different candidates on and off the stages of foreign governments. NED is one of the main things being funded, NGOs being funded corruptly with our taxpayer dollars. NED has been exposed for repeatedly funding color revolutions, pushing Western-aligned NGOs, helping topple governments that don't play ball with U.S. interests. Bass was in the middle. And then there's the scholarship scandal. L.A. County Supervisor Mark Ridley Thomas got federally indicted for receiving a scholarship from USC School of Social Work and allegedly trading favors. Bass, she received the exact same scholarship, but no charges, not even a slap on the wrist. Why the double standard? When you're part of the machine and you've got DC connections, NGO backing, and ties to the intel-adjacent nonprofit world, you get protection. She's not a DEI figurehead. She's in the system. So anyways, so she has a thread. It walks through her career, talks about it. If you go look it up, it was from June 7th if you want to find it. Who really is Karen Bass from Data Republican? That's the end of this. So yeah, Gavin Newsom, piece of hot flaming garbage. I hope. I don't want JD to debate him because I don't want him to have the screen time. But if he does, I will look forward to him being crushed. I hope Karen Bass is put the hell out of LA. I don't know how they could keep supporting her there after everything that's happened this year. We just have horrible people. And this is why people might pull up contradictions between what I personally believe as someone who promotes like federalism and me supporting the LA riots, which very heavily lean on the supremacy clause. And you know, they're pointing out the fact that, well, there were times in the past where I wouldn't have liked what the federal government's doing right now in California. I did not, again, this, you guys can disagree or disagree, but when we were trying to do integration, I did not agree with children having guns pointed at their heads, being forced to go to particular schools. I'm pro school choice. I don't believe in forcing children to go to a particular school at gunpoint. Do you? And that was the controversy between with George Wallace in Alabama when we were doing integration. I'm a promoter of freedom of association. And what that essentially means is I think the people who hate each other should all go off into their own corners, and the people who can live together peacefully hang out where we all are right now. I think that's the way that society should be. American Nerd for 2, where in Alabama would you move? Because I live near Mobile. I'll be very far away from Mobile. No matter what, I'm not going to dox myself, but I would live very, very far away from Mobile. And I don't say that like if you love Mobile, God bless you. I just have bad memories. Actually, like a adjacent family member that was heavily into drugs was from Mobile, and I always think of her when I'm when I think of it. It just makes it bad memories, dude. Bad memories. Bad memories. Woke. Oh gosh. Sarita was saying nobody cares what you think, Rand Paul. Your opinion is nobody. Luke, John, should Rand Paul be let back on the Discord? Luke, what are you talking about? It's your Discord. Make those decisions yourself. I would certainly not let him on my Discord, but that's up to you, dude. Let's see here. Oh, American Nerd 3. That sucks. I'd hope we hang out sometimes. You seem like a great guy, American Nerd. I would be open to hanging out with you, but like we should probably just go to somewhere else. I'm a big fan of Huntsville. I'm a big fan of some of the outskirts of Birmingham. Like inner city Birmingham is pretty bad. And there's some cool places in East Alabama too, if you want to hit me up. Anyways, at the center of the funding web is Trilla. Okay, no, this we already read all this. We're going to keep going. We aren't going to go too much longer, so consider this a last call for super chats and everything else. But I am going to go through real quick through a few other things. We did have this video come out just a few days ago. The FBI and the IRS joined forces to find and hold accountable the individuals funding the LA riots. We're kind of used to the FBI this term saying they're going to do stuff and then it either taking forever or it never happening. This is something I really want to happen. I know there's other stuff you want the intelligence agencies to release, guys. I want these people held accountable. Do you know why? Because more so than scandals, more so than the Epstein crap, these people are trying to overthrow our fucking country, okay? They're trying to overthrow our country, and I'm not okay with it. I am not okay with it. The reason that this is different than George Wallace and the forced integration and all this other things is because we represent civilization. These people represent chaos, mayhem, destruction.
So I have bad news.
What's up?
You know who Adi Shankar is, right?
No.
Oh, the guy who ruins every TV series.
Yeah, guess what franchise he just bought the rights to make a show of?
Oh no.
Top Gear.
Duke Nukem.
Oh
no. Oh gosh, that's gonna be awful. That's gonna be awful, dude. Oh no. Okay. Chance for 5. McCain had a long history of smearing other R's with views he disagreed with, but he was like, how dare you? When Trump criticized him, God, he sucked. I have a lot of opinions about McCain that would probably get the stream taken down, but I'll just let you guys know, like, you know, if I ever visit his grave in the future, it'll be hard for me to not do bad things to it. I will try not to. I'll try to respect the dead. But you have to understand, this guy, he's caused countless bloodshed, untold bloodshed across the world. Not even stuff that like we could feel responsible for as American citizens. He's just an evil guy. He's an evil guy that has precipitated a lot of the horrible things that we see across the world right now. I do not like John McCain at all. Like, really badly do not like John McCain. Anyways, I really want us to hold these people accountable. Civilization versus anarcho-tyranny. These are the two dichotomies. And I believe before I can advocate for states' rights or for decentralization or for getting the welfare state out of the hands of the incompetent federal government, like before I can advocate for any of those things, we need to have actual society. We need to have law enforcement that can do their jobs. We need to have states that do not try to dox their own police officers. We do not need this bullshit. We need actual real law and order, real governments, not this bullshit where people are funding tens of millions of dollars to destroy civilization. No, I have to stand against the people that actually are trying to destroy civilization. I cannot support the crap going on in California. Anyways, so another, again, more of the LA riot funding corruption. 72% of the funding from this organization comes from the state of California, the state of California's Department of Social Services. This is totally unacceptable. And this is from Steve Hilton. He's like a British commentator on Fox News. He's been American for a long time, but he's running for governor of California. I know next to nothing about his campaign, but that's happening.
Who is this guy?
Steve Hilton. He's like he's the bald British accented guy. on Fox News, but he's lived in America for a long time.
America having like a British, like a politician with like an actual British accent would be so fucking cool. Like that would be cool. Like, we have people in Congress who can barely speak English. Like, might as well have like, you know, like it's fine to have somebody with a British accent if that's the case.
Charlie, I missed your super chat. I'm so sorry, Charlie. Charlie Howard for 5. I'm pretty sure China owns a lot of land around Fort Bragg, North Carolina. That makes me very nervous. Yeah, no, let's kick all of it off. And again, no matter what you think about what we should do with federal land, like whether you think that, you know, we can touch 0% of any federal land, or whether you think that we can use a little bit to build housing, or whether you think, you know, BlackRock is conspiring to put H-1B visa Indian homes in the Yellowstone National Park, whatever you think about that, at the end of the day, why can't we just all massively push for China and other foreign governments to have no ownership of any of our land? Like, at least the adversarial ones. So yeah, I promote Tommy Tuberville's bill. Let's get it through, and then let's promote more stuff like that. Like really, like full stop. Let's promote foreign adversaries not owning land, especially the ones that have been caught trying to poison our food supply. Let's see. Breaking, Diddy has admitted Tim Walz was at his freak-off parties. Wow, that is some amazing breaking news, Lewis. The chat's...
By the way, Mike Lee's bill is it's not a very good idea. I mean,
I'm not going to argue about that on this stream. I understand. I disagree with you. I've read the entire bill, and I have a lot of arguments about it. Oh yeah, no, it's a wonderful idea. These fuckers need to get their land out. I'm sorry. I will get really emotional about this. I have been watching 99% of my timeline have the opposite of opinion of me after I read the bill.
The thing with right-wing Twitter, the thing with right-wing Twitter is they think that everything is a Jewish or an Indian psyop. Like they are just like not. They're you know, right-wing Twitter has smart people on it, but a lot of them are. Let's face it, they don't know what the fuck they're talking about.
What I will say to anybody who disagrees with me, I stood up for you. I'm mutuals with Mike Lee. I reached out to him. I've been trying to get answers about if he would be willing to edit portions of the bill. And that's all I'm saying. That's all I'm talking about. I actually care about you guys, even though you disagree with me, even if I think sometimes you're a little silly. I understand that your concerns are real. So I actually tried talking to Mike Lee. Okay. We'll see. We'll see if something happens, guys. But yeah, want to go ahead and Alerts for California, partially organized by Act Blue. That's the smurfing organization that we need to take down. If there's something also to yell from the rooftops, get Act Blue taken the fuck down. It just, this has been funding the Democrats, and they need to go. And again, I've been shilling it the entire stream, but check out Luke's video later. He's going to talk about Democrat funding going through the floorboards. They're having to borrow money from, I believe, Goldman Sachs, JP Morgan. I may be wrong about that. I think that's where they're having to start borrowing money from. They cannot pay their own bills, guys. They are going down. And it's a real question. A lot of Democrat campaigns have relied on having funding. What does it look like going into 26 when the Democrats are really low in the coffers? American Nerd for 5. Do we really want another non-native citizen to be governor of California? Nothing against Steve Hilton, but remember how California turned out under Arnold. You make a fantastic point, American Nerd. That's the same reason I dislike Sears, is that she's a naturalized citizen, so I should hold the same standard. I don't really care. I think like California is such a shit show that it's hard for me to care, but at the same time, I care about them having actual law and order. So if he ends up being the candidate,
the British guy or Lan He Chen. Lan He Chen won't run, but he would be the best candidate from an electoral point of view. I've been saying this since 2023. Like, run Lan He Chen as an independent.
Right. Yeah, no, Bucky, Winsome Sears was born in Jamaica. That's why I brought her up. It's because if they're both naturalized citizens, and I dislike Sears for being born in Jamaica because I want executive offices to be held by people born in America, then I should hold the same standard to Steve Hilton, not want him to hold an executive office. I agree. I should be consistent on that. I don't know if I'll promote anything from Steve Hilton. It really just like depends on who actually ends up getting the nomination. I'll have to think hard about that, man.
For me, it's not the issue with Sears is not where she's born or whatever. The issue with Sears is that she sucks and he's not a very intelligent politician. Let's
She's
just
not
put it
she
that way.
she's not intelligent. She's very lazy. She phones in everything. And since Luke's not here, we can openly talk about he's trying to defend the series a little bit. But man, is she not good at coordinating, campaigning. I don't think she's even trying. I think that's my perspective of it right now. And again, I'm not in Virginia, but I have friends in Virginia. I'm friends with Christian Hines. I'm friends with not friends with Virginia Project, but I talk to him a good bit.
Yes, I'm friends with
Every-
Hines too.
Everybody's black-pilled about that. So I kind of trust them. They're very accurate with the polls last time. Charlie Howard for 5. Johns, what's your opinion on the lefty argument red states shouldn't exist without blue state? Red states would not exist without blue state subsidies. It is absolute nonsense. It comes from kind of an antiquated understanding of where the
summoned.
Oh, hey, Luke, we're already past that. We're talking about the lefty argument.
I was just watching on the screen. I didn't even know what you were talking about. I just heard you say, "Luckily, Luke's not present," so I just had to...
No. Red states would absolutely exist without blue state subsidies. In fact, they were so willing to exist without blue state subsidies, quote unquote subsidies, that they tried to secede from the Union at some point, at one point in our history, if you recall. But no, even today, you see vastly growing economies in Tennessee, healthy economies in Louisiana, very fast economy in Arkansas. You see North Carolina is pumping along really good. It needs to do a little bit better, but it's got a good economy. And then Florida and Texas, they're booming. People are moving. They're making a bunch of money, and they're going to donate surplus into the thing. Think about California. Think about, not only are they unable to pay their own bills, they're trying to get the federal government to foot the bill for their things. So the leftist idea that, oh, we couldn't exist without them. Oh, hell yes, we could live better without them. As far as secession goes, if Texas tried to secede from the Union, I would be, kind of upset because I'd want to keep Texas in the Union right now. And if they did actually secede, I'd have to move there. But if California tried seceding, I wouldn't be talking that much. I'd just be kind of, let them leave. And again, if you don't understand the logic of that, it would remove 50 Democrats from the House. It would remove 50 seats from the House of Representatives. That would be Democrat stuff. We would have a permanent control. We had a permanent control over the Congress, and maybe we would actually get stuff done if California wasn't here. But no, I don't care. They're making us pay our bills. They're setting fires that they don't need to. They're trying right now, while these riots are going on, Karen Bass and many other people are trying to extort the federal government and saying, well, you caused these riots because of your disruptive police and law enforcement. You need to pay us for the damages on the riots, while we're paying for the damages of the wildfires they caused, while we're paying for the debt they can't pay, while they're begging on their knees for subsidies for a high-speed rail system that was supposed to be done years ago, that's not going to be done for decades because it's a money laundering scheme.
You know what's crazy? Uzbekistan and India are going to have high-speed rail before California at this rate. Definitely Uzbekistan.
I keep bringing this up. The French company that was working on the project that they refused to pay because they're useless bums, those people went over and actually built a rail in North Africa. I believe it was for the country of Morocco. They actually built a high-speed rail in Morocco of a similar kind that they were going to build in California, before California finished the initial project that they failed to pay the French to keep doing.
The Moroccans have a better government than California. That's fucking depressing, man.
That is the most depressing thing. If you don't realize how depressing that is, just go read about Morocco a little bit. Charlie Howard for 5, living in NC near Raleigh. All we need is a GOP governor to be doing much better. Not that we're doing terribly. You guys have a good economy. You're doing okay. I hate the fact you have a Democrat governor. We couldn't really do anything about that.
Legislature, though, so they might as well have a Republican governor. It's like Josh Stein.
Right. So it's better than it could be. A lot better than it could be, Charlie. And at the end of the day, I think you guys are going to do well. When you have an actual governor's race that is not sabotaged by the Georgia GOP, you guys will do wonderful. Yeah. But no, I don't have a bunch else to talk about the LA riots, but zooming through this, that was just a boomer meme I was going to share. Just want to remind everyone that these same people, George Soros and a few other people, were funding Tesla's being burned and taken down, all of this crap, this violence at the start of the year. They have been actively radicalizing people like Edward Barkus and Luigi Mangione to go out and commit active terrorism against U.S. citizens. And of course, if you go back to 5 years ago, these same pieces of shit were funding the BLM riots. They were funding the active destruction of our nation, the Twin Cities, city of Portland, like all of these cities all across the country. We had the frickin' Chaz free zone, the complete embarrassment of Oregon. Or was that in Washington? Was that in Washington or Oregon? Anyways, Northwest. Absolutely disgusting. And for some reason, I think we woke up a few years ago, and that's why we elected Donald Trump. But everybody up to from the top to the bottom of the Democrat Party has been sponsoring not only terrorism, but bailing out the terrorists and letting them free. We have been paying for their bail, paying for them to avoid consequences with law enforcement. This has been going on and on and on and on. And Act Blue's been there the whole time. GoFundMe allowed Black Lives Matter to cash out $90 million in 2020. That was the last thing I'd pulled up. My point is, guys, ladies and gentlemen, we live in a ridiculous time period. And anybody that tries to gaslight you and pretend this is normal and that pretend that we're just supposed to be okay with it, they are actively working, what knowingly or unknowingly, to destroy the fabric of our society. I am not going to mince words. These people cannot be listened to. We need to be ignored. You need to tell all the sane, mildly normal people in your life, we've got to change this. We've got to kick these people out of office. We've got to get these things done. And we need the federal government to prosecute these people funding the riots. If we cut their money out, if we cut their legs out from under them, they're going to have way less they can do. And again, this is the most important time in your entire life to be engaged in politics. I think 26 and 28, probably the most important time in any of our lives to be involved in politics, guys. Please continue this conversation. Please tell the people at home. Please tell everyone that they need to get active against this threat. If you want to live with law enforcement actually protecting you, if you want to live in a country where illegals can't come and steal all of your money and just live off of your dole, if you want to live in a country where we actually care about American citizens and work with policies that help American citizens, you have to support Donald Trump. You have to support us crushing them in the midterms next year. Please talk to your people in real life and get people active. Okay. Anyways, that was all my piece. Does anybody have any last thoughts before we close the stream?
No, not really.
No,
Not really. I just support Trump, trust the plan. Don't blindly trust the plan, but trust the plan. Trust Trump. Trust Vance, Miller.
Trust the plan. Be loyal. I guarantee you guys in the next 2 weeks, regardless of what happens, I believe that our administration is working towards the interest of American citizens, and we just have to help tell that story while also getting these psychopaths out of office and out of power. That's my message. I really hope you guys enjoyed the stream. I tried to make it entertaining for you guys. Otherwise, continue supporting us. We will see Rap hopefully sometime next week. I don't know exactly when. He's waiting on stuff in real life. He's waiting for things to happen. And once they happen, we're going to tell you all about it, okay? But just kind of sit tight. You'll see him soon. Thank you for staying tuned with us. And otherwise, Godspeed to all of you.
All of you.
God bless. Okay.